If you're a female wanting to lose fat and you have no idea how to start, this video is for you. My name is Kyle Settles. I've been in the fitness industry now for over a decade, and I've worked with thousands of females just like you, okay? And at one point in my life, I was 100 pounds overweight, lost and confused, just like you are. And I promise you, by the end of this video, I'm gonna break things down so simple that you can start losing weight today and keep it off for good. Okay, now let's get into it. Now, before we get started, if you don't have much time and you're like, I don't know if I can watch this entire video, down below, you can join the school community. It's totally free. Down below in the description, I have all the information that you could ever need, all the questions that you're probably thinking answered for you. It's completely free. I promise you it'll help you out. But let's get into this, okay? So you're probably confused. There's so much noise. There's so many lies out there. There's so many chefs in the kitchen. Everyone's saying something different. Caloric deficit. Don't do this diet. Don't eat carbs. Do eat carbs. Try carnivore. Okay, we have to almost put walls up around our mind, and we have to stick with one chef, okay? Now, I'm gonna give you the real, raw truth. I'm gonna give you my experience, my wisdom, and everything I went through, okay? And my clients have gone through. But I want to give you the truth so that you can get started today and lose the weight and finally make the progress that you want and keep it off for good, okay? So let's dive into how do we lose weight? Okay, you've probably heard of it, calorie deficit. What is a calorie deficit? Well, a calorie deficit is how we lose weight. We need to burn more calories than we are consuming. It's the only way that we can lose weight. Let me give you an example. So we have calories in, and then we also have calories out. Okay, calories in, think about your vehicle, think about your car. You put gas in there, right? Probably takes whatever, $40, $50, $60, who knows? But you put X amount of gas in there, maybe 20 gallons, 15 gallons. It depends on how big your tank is, right? But you put fuel in, and then your car, you drive your car, and then you burn the gas, and then you repeat. You fill it up with gas, and then you burn the gas. Same thing with our body. We put food, right? Liquid calories and solid calories in. This is our energy. This is our gas, right? And everything has calories except water, right? Pretty much everything that hits your tongue, everything you put on your fork, everything has calories. Everything has energy, okay? Let's exclude water. But our body, we burn calories. We use that energy. Okay, we use that energy. There's 4 ways. And I need you to understand that the first way we burn calories is through our basal metabolic rate. What is this? And we're gonna keep things simple. I don't wanna go science-y on you. I want you to understand that you burn calories just existing, just to use your brain, just to digest, your digestive system working, your organs working, your heart beating, just to keep the lights on, just to keep you alive. There's a certain amount of calories that you need, and it depends on how big your engine is, right? Do you have a 4-cylinder, or do you have a V6, a V8, a V10? Depends on what you're currently doing. It depends on your genetics. It depends on your lifestyle, right? It depends on a lot of things. But don't overcomplicate it. You need a certain amount of calories to exist. Now, the next way we burn calories is, this is one of my favorite, okay? And we're gonna talk about this in today's video. NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This has completely changed my life. This is how I stayed lean, to be honest with you. Think about all of the movement that you do throughout the day. You see how much I'm movement right now? I have a passion for this, so I kind of move a lot. My voice goes up and down. I'm producing, I'm moving, I'm burning energy right now. Maybe you have an active job, a physical job, or maybe you have a sedentary job, right? But everyone's a little bit different depending on their lifestyle. But all of the activity throughout the day, right, that you're doing, that's non-exercise activity, everything outside of your workout, okay? Then next, TEF, thermogenic effective food. This is a really cool one, okay? I want you to think about it this way. So we have calories, okay? We have protein, carbs, and fats. Okay, protein, carbs, and fats equal the calories that's in food, right? Everything that we eat has protein, carbs, and fats. Some have just protein, some have just fat, some have just carbs, some have all 3 macronutrients that make up the calories that we eat. But for each macro, we burn calories. Like when we eat calories, when we eat protein, carbs, and fats, our body actually uses calories to break down the food, to digest the food so that we can use that energy for our life, or so that our body can repair our muscle, hair, skin, nails, or it can store. If we eat too many calories, where does it go? It stores on our stomachs or in our face. I used to have 100 pounds of body fat on my body that I was carrying. It's crazy, right? But when we overeat, or when we eat and we don't understand what we're eating, holy smokes, that energy's got to go somewhere, and it's going to store on you to be used for later, right? Now, when it comes to protein, there's a 30%, I'm gonna keep this simple, pay attention, 30% carbs, 5 to 10, and fats, 3 to 5. What does this mean? So 30% metabolic increase when you eat protein, 5 to 10% metabolic increase when you eat carbs, 3 to 5% increase when you eat fat. Okay, so quick layman example. If you eat 100 calories of chicken, you're really only getting about 70 of those calories because it's taking 30 calories to digest and break down, again, for your body to repair muscle, convert to energy, all the things it does. But when you eat carbs and fats, right, if you eat 100 calories of rice, you're really getting about 90 to 95 of those calories. You're getting almost all those calories because it's very easy for your body to break down rice or cereal or sugars. Fats, 3 to 5%. You're eating avocado, oils, nuts. You really get about 95 to 97 of those calories out of 100, right? Because again, it's easier for your body to break down. Okay, but this is important to know that so that when you're eating protein or you're eating more protein, like you're burning more calories and you're also fuller, you're more satiated, and you're keeping the muscle, right? So there's so many benefits to having understanding of the food that you're eating. But when we don't understand, we're just like, oh, I don't want to eat that much protein. I can't eat that much protein. Or I don't want to get bulky. All these limiting beliefs that we have. It really just comes from not knowing, not understanding. And what you have to do is you have to learn what you don't know, because what you don't know is hurting you, okay? So thermogenic effective food, that's an awesome one now that you know that. And then the last way, ladies, is exercise activity. You might not even be working out right now. Maybe you work out once a week. Maybe you work out 6 times a week. I don't know where you are in your life or who I'm talking to. But there's a certain amount of calories that you're burning inside of your workouts. And by the way, if you are working out, you're not burning as many calories as you think you are. Like most people have this limiting belief that I'm burning 600, 1,000 calories, because they're looking at their watch or they're looking at whatever. And it's like, whoa, your heart rate monitor or the treadmill or the watch or whatever, it's like 90% off. So you're really burning like 10% of the calories that you actually think you are. Okay, but we'll talk about that later. So calories in, calories out, now. So listen, you've probably heard this too. Total daily energy expenditure, TDEE, right? They like to throw this word around a lot in the fitness industry, okay? TDEE is just all the calories that you're burning throughout the day, and these are the 4 ways that we burn calories. It's, again, important for you to know so that we can play with these levers later on, okay? So now, so we need to be burning, right? Burning more calories than we're consuming, right? So we can there's a few ways that we can lose weight. So we're either burning more calories than we're consuming, okay? Or we're eating less than we're burning, or we're doing a little bit of both, right? We're burning more calories and we're eating less calories, right? So there's a couple different ways that we can play with this to make sure that we're in a calorie deficit. But it's important to know that it's just calories in and calories out, okay? And with understanding, you're going to be able to have more awareness to lose the weight and look like the badass you want to look like, right? Because I would say that you probably want to have what? More belief, more confidence. You want to be more sexy. You want to attract, right, that person into your life. You want to maybe have more energy for your kids. You maybe want to live longer. Come on now. So let's get into this. Okay, so now that we understand a caloric deficit, we're going to keep that on the board. Let's take this off. The next thing that we're going to talk about is, real quick before we go into like how many calories you should be eating, is like, you need to understand that 1 pound of fat equals roughly 3,500 calories. Okay, I think most people have probably heard this, but so 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So we must be in a 3,500 calorie deficit to lose just 1 pound of body fat. And this will come back into play when we're talking about realistic expectations. Most people don't have realistic expectations when it comes to weight loss because we're sold these lies like The Biggest Loser and all this crazy stuff, people losing 5-10 pounds in a week. If you lose 5 to 10 pounds in a week, that shit's coming back quick for 99.9% of us, okay? This has to be realistic. This has to be sustainable. This has to be a journey. This has to be a lifestyle. This has to be about who are you freaking becoming and adopting the habits, right? And the qualities that the person that you want to be, the person that you want to become has, right? That's the biggest thing. So remember this number, 3,500 calories is 1 pound of body fat, okay? So next, now let's talk about how many calories. How do I figure out how many calories? This is where a lot of people get stuck. They're like, one person saying this, the other person saying this calculator says this, my doctor says this CrossFit gym says this, F45s. Stop, wipe it, put the walls up around your mind. You gotta stop listening to all the lies, all the BS. Every path works if it's simple, if it's repeatable, and you can be consistent. They all work, but you got to get into a caloric deficit. You got to, and if you don't get into a caloric deficit, you won't lose weight, right? And if it's not simple, repeatable, and you're not able to be consistent, it can't happen, okay? And it's not your thyroid, it's not your age, it's not your job, it's not your boss, it's not time, and nobody else is lucky. You are very special and capable of doing anything and everything, and I promise you after this video, you're gonna know exactly how to lose that weight, okay? So, Kyle, how do I figure out how many how do I figure out how many calories do I start with? You gotta start somewhere, okay? And the easiest way to start is right here, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, okay? Here's your little chart, okay? We need to multiply our goal weight times one of these numbers, okay? And I recommend you just pick one in the middle, okay? All these numbers will work. The formula is there, whether you go 15, 10. 10, you're obviously gonna get a little bit less calories. 15, you're gonna get more. Think about it this way. How fast or quick do you wanna lose weight? Do you wanna lose a little bit more weight or do you wanna lose a little bit less weight, right? But either way, one of these numbers are a great way to start. But you have to make sure that you go off your goal weight, okay? And this may offend you. This may piss you off a little bit, okay? But I'll tell you this. When I was 300 pounds, if I took 300 pounds times 10 or 300 times 15, let's do 300 times 15. 3 times 50, that's 4,500 calories. I probably would have lost a little bit of weight if I were being consistent. But think about it this way, ladies. Do I want to feed 300 pounds? No, I don't want to feed 300 pounds. I'm carrying 100 pounds of extra body fat here. When I was 300 pounds, I don't want to feed that. So ignore all the BS. What is your goal weight? My goal weight when I was 300 pounds was like 190, 185, 190, 200 pounds or less. Lean, fighting machine, right? That was my goal weight. My goal weight wasn't 250. It wasn't 260, 270. Those are small goals. Yes, those are small goals that we'll get to, right? That I'll get to, 290, 280, 275. But no. What is my big goal? What is my end goal? What do I absolutely want? That is the number that you have to go off of, ladies. So if you're a 200-pound female, right? If you're a 200-pound female, we're not going off of 180. We're not going off of 190. Ideally, a female, the average female should be, we'll call it 130 to 155. Let's go 130 to 160. Okay? You may be a one-off. And again, don't get offended. I'm just going off my experience, the wisdom that I have, and the thousands of female clients that I have worked with over the last decade or so. Okay? 130 to 160. Pick a number. Okay? we have to multiply it by 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15. I would just go right in the middle at 12. Right in the middle at 12. Your goal weight times 12. Okay? So let's do some math. Say you're 200. Let's go 150. 150 times 12. Do some math for me. 0, 10, 2, 3, 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. Is this right? And 1 times 1 is 1. I think I'm doing it right. 1, 8. So 1,800 calories. So 1,800 calories is what we came up with. Okay, so I'm a 200-pound female. Okay, my goal is 150. Okay, my starting calories, I took 150 times 12 equals 1,800 calories. This is my starting point. 1,800 calories. Now I just need to figure out my protein, okay? You got protein, you got carbs, and you got fats. Ladies, I don't want you to worry so much about carbs and fats. They're interchangeable, okay? Doesn't matter. I want you to just focus on hitting your calories and making protein a priority, okay? Remember, we're gonna burn more calories from the thermogenic effect of food, okay? We wanna make sure that we're maintaining our muscle, okay? We wanna make sure, that's the most, you're gonna be fuller, more satiated, okay, when you eat your protein, okay? Get that limiting belief out of your head. You need to make sure that you're eating your protein. How much protein? Do you need to eat 150 grams of protein? You can, that's absolutely awesome, but you don't need that much protein. Remember I said earlier, the average female that I've seen, again, there's one-offs, we're talking about 5% of the world, 1%, one-offs. The average female, 90 to 120 pounds of lean body mass. Ideally, we want to go 1 gram times your lean body mass. So 90 to 120. You can pick one, okay? But don't overcomplicate. Let's just go 120. Don't overcomplicate this. The more protein, the better, okay? I promise you this. It's not gonna hurt your liver. Excuse all the BS that you've heard, okay? 90 to 120 grams of protein, just pick 120, okay? 120. So we've got 120 grams of protein. 1,800 calories, 120 grams of protein. Boom, that's how we start. So now we have a starting point. Let's get rid of this, okay? I hope you guys are taking notes or doing this with me because I'm telling you, this is the easiest way to do this so that you can get started, okay? So we've got 1,800 calories. Protein is 120 grams. Don't worry about the fat and carbs. The goal is, right, the shiny star is 150 pounds is the goal, okay? This is what we're trying to get to. Now what do we do? Okay, so how do we know how many calories? You must download an app. I don't care if it's MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is what I use, okay? And if you want to know how to use it, right, there's all kinds of tutorials on YouTube. I even have them in my community. Again, go down below, join my community. You can have access to everything, this entire brain, all the information that I have for free, okay? So make sure you guys check it out. But we need to make sure that we're tracking our calories. I don't care if you write it down. I don't care if you do it on an Excel sheet. So you need to make sure that you are tracking. Okay, track and weighing your food. You must do this, ladies. I know what you're thinking. I don't want to track my food. Well, it's because you're listening to the BS around you. People around you are going to say, oh, you're one of those people, you're going to track your food. What do you mean? You eat food. I used to have this belief. You track your money. You know how much money is going in your account. You know how much money is going out of your account. You save your receipts. You turn them into your tax person. You check how much the price is on the label. You know that, but you don't know how many calories you're eating. Think about that for a second. The food that you are eating, you are becoming. You become the food that you eat. And right now, your goal is to lose weight, right? To be the best version of yourself. And you got to know that you got to understand something. You got to understand the food that you're eating. You don't need to track and weigh your food for the rest of your life, but you need to do it for a certain amount of time. 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. You need to do it so that you learn a skill, right? So that you can understand and be able to look at food and be like, that's got a lot of calories, that's got a lot of fat, or that's got a lot of fat in the protein. It allows you to make better choices to create new habits, and you become the habits. You are your habits. You are the food that you eat because your habit of eating is this type of food. So you become the food, literally your cells. You become the food that you eat. Think about that for a second. So it's a wise choice to track and weigh your food. That way you can have data to know if you're losing weight, okay? So MyFitnessPal, make sure you grab a cheap scale on Amazon, wherever. They're 10 bucks, 15 bucks. They're really easy to use. And again, if you're new to using a food scale, YouTube tutorial, or I have videos in my community. Check it out. I have all the answers. Okay, so this is our food side. This is our calories in side. Calories in is what? 1,800. Again, 1,800 with 120 protein, 120 grams of protein. Bam, we're set up over here. We're set up. We're gonna use MyFitnessPal. We're gonna weigh our food. We're gonna set ourselves up. Bam. Now, what are we gonna do? What else can we play with over here? We got exercise, activity, and NEAT. Listen, if you're working out, awesome, keep doing what you're doing. I recommend if you're a beginner, it really depends on where you're at in life. I like to work out almost every day. You may not be that person. Listen, 2 to 3 times a week. Do 3 full body workouts a week. Do 2 workouts a week. 1 lower body, 1 upper body. You can always progress over time. Just make sure that when you're working out, keep it 20 to 30 minutes, whatever. Make sure that you pick 2 to 3 exercises. Your rep range could be anywhere from 8 to 15 or 10 to 20 reps. You just got to start. Just make sure that when you are lifting weights, okay, that you're not focused on burning calories. You're focused on building muscle. And ladies, get this belief out of your head. You're not going to get bulky. I promise you this. If you see a bulky lady with all this muscle, and she's on a lot of shit. She's on a lot of drugs. She's on a lot of supplements. And mind you, that's this percentage of the world. But we blow it up on social media, and then most females run around with this conception or this limiting belief that holds them back from becoming the best version of themselves, when lifting heavy weights is only going to make you look sexy. It's only going to give you shape, make you feel better in your clothes, stronger, right? The only thing that's going to make you bulky is overeating calories and eating donuts, okay? So lift heavy weights 2 to 3 times a week. Just make sure that when you're lifting, that the intensity is there. If you're going for 10 reps, for example, like you're like, how do I know if the intensity is there? If you've got good form, awesome. Make sure your form's there. Number 2, if you're going for 10 reps, okay, and you stop at 10, and you're like, I could have done 5 more, or I could have done 10 more, it's too light. You want to get to 10, right? You want that 10th rep to be almost failure. Maybe you have 1 or 2 reps left in the tank, not 5 or 10. You have to make sure that you are challenging yourself or nothing will change, okay? So listen, exercise 2 to 3 times full body. Keep it simple. 3 upper body exercises, 3 lower body exercises, and or break it up, okay? Next, the most important thing, telling you this changed my life, steps. Track your steps. I don't care if you start at 5K, 5,000 steps. Put it this way, ladies. The average person only moves about 1,500 to 2,000 steps a day. Most people are sedentary. Most people only move from one office to another office, or their car to the restaurant. You get my point. Most people don't move that much, okay? Maybe you're different. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but I'm telling you, tracking my steps has changed my life. For me, I hit 15,000 steps a day minimum every day, but I've also been doing this for years, right? I like to be active, right? I come from the fitness world. If you're new to this, start with 5,000 steps. Hit it for the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. You can always add more later, but I promise you, when you're walking, right, you feel good when you're moving, your energy, your state changes, your mindset changes. You can call people, you can take your family on a walk, you can take your dog for a walk. If you're in your office, you can grab a treadmill on Amazon. They're like $100, a walking treadmill. You can move more, you're gonna produce more. I'm telling you, fitness, health, losing weight will completely change your life. You'll attract more money, you'll attract more people, you'll just become a better version of yourself. Everything starts with you. Everything starts with you. So we've got 2 to 3 times a week working out. We can always talk about this in another video too, right? If you guys want more tips on working out or whatnot, just comment down below. NEAT, 5K steps, okay? Don't start at 15K. Don't start at 10K if you're not used to it, because you're gonna fail, and then you're gonna it's not sustainable. Start a little bit lower that you know that you can do. It's a challenge, but you know you can do. And then each week, don't worry about it. You can always add more. Okay, so we are set up for success. We got our calories in, 1,800 calories, 120 grams of protein. We gotta track and weigh our food. It's gonna be a little uncomfortable the first few days, the first week. Why? Because it's new to us. Just like riding a bike, ladies. You had to start with training wheels, right? Just like walking, right? You had to roll first, then you had to crawl, then you jogged, then you ran, then you sprinted, then you jumped. Everything is a little uncomfortable at first, but then you get good at it, right? Through repetition. You just got to focus on what you want and who you are becoming. Don't worry about where you're at right now. When I was 100 pounds overweight, if I was focused on just the 100 pounds and the way I felt, I would have never had the thoughts and feelings and actions that would have led me to where I got, right? You have to focus every day on who are you becoming? And you got to start acting like that female that you want to become. Who is that person that you want to emulate? Because you can be whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. Six pack, sexy. I don't care how old you are either. 50, 60, 70, 30, 40. I don't care how, those are all beliefs that you picked up from somebody else. Those aren't true. They're not true. Okay, you must understand those limiting beliefs will hold you back. Okay, so 1,800 calories, 120 grams of protein. We're tracking, we're weighing our food. We have to go through the steps so that we get more understanding. We have 5,000 steps a day, 2 to 3 times a week working out, okay? Now what do we do? Well, you gotta track something. You gotta track, okay? So let's look at this. How do we track? Okay? So you're tracking your steps, you have that. Maybe you, on your notes app in your phone, you track your steps, okay? You track your workouts, like check mark. Like I hit my steps, don't go to bed until you hit your steps. Workout, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. Check mark, you did it. Great. But this is the most important part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You must understand that you need to weigh yourself daily. You need to weigh. At least 3 to 5 times a week. You need some kind of data. Yes, you can measure yourself. Yes, you can use the mirror. Yes, you can use pictures. Yes, you can use clothes. Use all of them. The more feedback you have, the better. But I'm telling you right now, out of all the clients, myself, everyone that I've ever worked with, if you want the best data in the world, you want to weigh yourself as much as you can so that you can take the average of each week. Your average is always going to tell you what's going on. Okay, is this working? Is it not working? If you just weigh yourself once a week or twice a week, what if you're on cycle? What if you had a couple drinks the night before and you're holding water, right? You could be holding water from salt, from inflammation. You could be holding poop, right, from bowels. Maybe you haven't gone to the bathroom because you don't have enough fiber. You could be sore from a workout, right, inflammation. There's a few different ways. There's so many different ways that our body is going to retain like a sponge, right? Our muscles are sponges and they hold water. And remember, go back to 1 pound of body fat is 3,500 calories. So if the scale is up 2 and down 2 or up 3, you didn't gain 3 pounds of fat. You're just holding a few pounds of water. 3,500 calories you would have to eat extra on top of the calories that you're eating just to gain 1 pound. So don't be that female that is getting on the scale and saying, oh my God, I'm down a half a pound. Oh my God, I'm up 2 and freaking out. This is why we take the average, okay? And I still see females to this day doing that. And I'm like, I feel bad. It's just a lack of knowledge. It's just a lack of understanding. And I'm saying this from experience. I used to be that person too. This goes for guys and females too, right? We get on the scale and we think that the weight is a reflection of like who we are and it justifies us and all this stuff. And it's like, no, this is just a key performance indicator. Bam, boom. It takes 2 seconds to weigh yourself. It's a part of the process so that we can make sure that we're going in the right direction. You don't want to do things blindly. I see so many people that will waste months, weeks, years, I did, just because they're scared of the scale, because they're holding on to this narrative, this story, this limiting belief that's not even true, that you picked up from your friends, your environment, or somebody else. Excuse my language, but fuck that, okay? And everybody's in a different spot. Everybody's in a different mindset, depending on what you've been through and what your story is. But we're all the same, and we all deal with the same energy, the same adversity, just in different ways. Okay? But you need to make sure that if you're going to do this, you got to track your shit. You got to track your scale weight. Again, it doesn't have to be forever. Okay? It can be for 12 weeks, 6 weeks. And I promise you, if you do it in 12 weeks and you ignore the people around you and you ignore the naysayers or those friends or those people that don't like what you're doing or have anything to say about what you're doing, they're just mad at themselves because you're a reflection of what they're not doing. Yeah, think about that. You've got to change your perspective and your mindset based on what we're doing. You have to have data that you're going in the right direction, or you're only going to piss yourself off. You're only going to get to week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and then say, oh, I don't have any information because I was scared on the scale. I didn't track my food or weigh my food because it was annoying. I didn't do the things that I know I should have been doing, and now I get to week 5, week 6, week 2, week 10, and then I end up quitting because you don't see the results that you're seeing. You don't have to do that, okay? And I'm trying to get you to see the big picture, that these fad diets and all the things that they're marketing, carnivore, Atkins, Weight Watchers, they all work. They all work, okay? If you can get into a caloric deficit, okay? If it's simple, repeatable, and you can be consistent, and you can maintain it forever. Why would you do something if you couldn't do it for forever? Like, why would you do it? Just to lose the weight, suffer, and then end up going back to your habitual patterns in the first place? It makes no sense, and I see it all the time. There may be 1% that does it and keeps it. Not very many. Just open your eyes and look around. There's just not that many, right? The results will always show you. And the importance of understanding macros, understanding calories, is so that you can eat the foods that you love. I don't care if you eat cake. I don't care if you eat pizza. I don't care what you eat. But if you're doing the process and you're tracking and you're weighing, you're not going to want to eat the pizza. You're not going to want to eat all of these high calorie foods, because that's like spending $1,000 when you only have $500. That's like going to Lululemon with $10. It's not going to get you very far. You're going to realize real quick that by default, when you're tracking your calories, you're going to make better choices because you're going to see your budget. Hey, I have 1,800 calories. This costs 1,400 calories. Why would I eat 1,400 calories, leave myself with only 400 calories, set myself up for failure for the rest of the day, right? I'm telling you guys, ladies, understanding is everything. And it's just a simple process that you just got to follow, okay? Now, let's talk about food, okay? Just real quick, because again, I don't care. Well, before we talk about food, we talked about averages, okay? And just to harp on adjustments. So average. Your average should, remember, 1% is all you should be losing. Realistic expectations. A lot of people are like 5 pounds, 10 pounds. Like, no. 1% of your total body weight. If you're 200 pounds, no more than 0.5 to 1%. That means no more than 1 pound to 2 pounds in the week. If you lose 1 pound, awesome. That's 3,500 calorie deficit. If you lose 2 pounds, ladies, that's 7,000 calorie deficit with your food and your activity to create that kind of deficit. Any more than that is extreme. Any more than that, you're going to lose muscle mass, which you don't want to do. And any more than that is going to be unsustainable, okay? And you're going to end up quitting because you're going to suffer, okay? So 1%. Now, when you get to a sticking point, you never make any changes until after 2 weeks. 14 days. 14 days of consistency, of you actually tracking, you actually weighing your food, you actually hitting your steps, you actually going to the gym and doing the things that you know you should be doing. If you do what you said you were going to do, then you just make an adjustment. What adjustment do we do? Well, you go back over here. You're at 1,800, you have calories in, calories out. You're at 5K steps here. And again, this is if your average stays the same after being consistent, right? Which just simply means you're burning and consuming the same. So we got to make a change. We can go from 1,800 to 1,700, just a small change. And we can go from 5K to 6K. It could be a simple change like that. Or it could just be stay at 1,800 calories and now you go to 7K. Or it could be 1,700 calories. You keep the 5K and we go to 4 times a week working out. Some kind of change needs to be made. Then you need to be consistent again. You need to make sure that you're tracking, and the process, the system continues. And then before you know it, after 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you're down 12 plus pounds. You're starting to embrace this. You're starting to build new habits. And habits are what? Habits is just something that we repeat without even having to think about it, right? Because you're doing it so much. You're doing it so much repetition, just like the ABCs, just like walking, just like crawling, just like writing, just like talking, just like anything. You just got to get past the uncomfortable, and you got to get rid of the belief system, the limiting beliefs that came from everybody else that's holding you back. You can do this. Okay? Now, let's talk about food real quick. You can eat whatever the hell food you want. You're going to learn real quick what fits in your calories and what doesn't. What I recommend is the 80-20 rule. 80-20. What does that mean? 80 whole foods, okay? Whole foods. 20% have fun. If you want cake, eat cake. If you want wine, drink wine. If you want beer, drink wine. I don't care. 20% eat what you want. But if you're hitting your protein and you're hitting your calories by default, you only have about 20% to play with. Okay, and you're gonna realize real quick that, holy shit, I should probably eat Jell-O instead of Ben & Jerry's, or I should probably have this instead of this, because you're seeing the price tag. You're seeing how much calories, and you know that those calories gotta go somewhere. They're gonna go on our face, they're gonna go on our ass, they're gonna go on our arms, they're gonna go somewhere, right? It's gonna weigh us down, it's gonna affect our health, it's gonna affect everything, okay? So 80-20, 80% whole foods, 20% have fun, okay? Man, you can see I got a lot of passion in this, and I'm going over a lot in this video, but you guys can watch this as many times as you want. And also down below, I have all these videos for you too. So I think we have a good understanding of what we should be doing. Okay, we actually have a goal in mind. We know how to figure out our calories now. We know how to figure out our protein. We know how we burn calories. We know the 4 ways. We know the calories in, calories out. We know how important tracking is. We know how important the scale is. Again, guys, I'm telling you through this process, whether you work with me or you work with any other coach, okay? Every coach, every program in the world, you're gonna have to track something, because you have to have data to see if you're moving in the right direction. Right? Imagine you were losing weight, but you don't know how many calories you were eating. How are you going to sustain that? How are you going to sustain that over life and still be able to enjoy weddings and events and vacations and all these things? Right? This is why it's important to track your food, to understand you don't have to do it forever. I promise you, after tracking your food, your awareness and your mindset will be so freaking change that you'll want to change everyone around you. You will want to help everyone around you if you actually understand what I understand. You're going to be able to go anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's a gas station, doesn't matter if it's Hawaii, vacation, doesn't matter. You can eat the foods that you love and you can keep the weight off forever. When you understand your budget, you hit your protein, and you build these habits over here. Just simply walking. Walking is how I stay lean. I simply track my steps. I do most of my work on my phone. I talk to clients on the phone. I do Zoom calls on the phone. I shop on the phone. I do everything while I get steps. And even when I'm in my office, I have a walking treadmill. I just stay moving. And the best thing about movement is when you move, your energy is moving, your mindset changes, you live a happier, healthier, better life, period. So ladies, I hope this helps. I think I hit everything. I'm looking at my little notes over here. I think we went over everything. Watch this video a couple times. Again, this is a long one. If you guys want more detailed short videos, again, go down below in the description. I got a couple links down there. I'll see you inside. If you want to jump on a call, if you want more help, if you want someone to walk this through with you, do it with you, hold your hand, right? For that extra accountability, jump on a call with me. Maybe I can help you. But you have to do something, okay? You got this. Down below, hit the like button, subscribe. Let me know what you're struggling with, what you want to see next. And I hope to see you guys soon, okay? Talk later. Bye.